Here we are again with another Macan oil change video. But in this video, I've got some oil analysis that I'd like to share and a couple of changes to the process that I use with changing my oil versus my previous video. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I do differently versus my first video is that now I only remove 10 of the T25 fasteners. Okay, and those are on the front. There's these locations here, 3 across this way, 2 on each side here, and then there's 3 across this back bar right behind that aluminum fixture there. The 2 plastic clips that are in the very back that's holding up the under panel, I don't take those out anymore. It's unnecessary to do that. You can just let it hang down like it is. Whether you're up on a lift like I am or just on ramps in the driveway, you can just let this guy hang down. What I wanted to show you was some oil analysis. So here we are, 2 different reports. So I purchased the car with about 9,000 miles on it. It was a service loaner. And so the dealership changed the oil at like 8,000 miles. It was his first oil change. And I don't have any oil analysis for that. It was right before I purchased the car. So its first oil, so I did it about 5,000 after that. So here at 15,000 miles, trying to do it on the 5s. Here's what my report looked like. Of course, there was still a new engine relatively, so there's going to be some higher wear metals in there. And the oil that the dealership used was a 5W30 ESP. So the manual recommends that you can either use a 0W20, which is kind of the first preference, but 5W30 or even a 030 are completely okay, it says. In fact, it lists them as options in the owner's manual. The dealership used a 5W30. I asked them why. They said because that's what they had on hand. The 020 is sometimes hard for them to come by, so they just use that. Otherwise, there was no other real reason for them to do that. But so this is a 5W30 ESP, Porsche recommended, called a C30 oil. Notice, though, that moly is like non-existent. That's an interesting attribute to me. Otherwise, it's generally decent oil. Calcium we see is below 1200, which it needs to be for a direct injection engine. So it's doing okay. ZDP here is about typical. It's an okay oil. I'd really like to see a lot more moly in there, though, with aluminum pistons. And I believe it's aluminum cylinders as well on this EA 888 motor. But here's the oil analysis after the change that I did in my last video, where I used Mobil 1 full synthetic oil, but in a 0W20 viscosity. But in this case, it wasn't an ESP or C20 approved oil. And some people kind of flipped out about that in the comments. Here we go for just what the results were on that. See, my moly is still up there at 70 after 5,000 miles on the oil, and everything else in check. A slight little amount smaller on the calcium, which is good, generally good, right? Calcium's a detergent, so you want it in there, but it's not great for direct injection engines, which is why the SP spec has to be 1200 or less. But your phosphorus and zinc, your ZDP, little bit less than this other oil. Relatively insignificant difference. I don't know if you'll be able to zoom in on this on your computer screen, so I'll pause here for a minute. Anyway, so the point of that was just to share those results for the oil analysis. Now, you know what? Let me let you watch me pull the oil. Maybe some of you want to see this. I might want to have it on video anyway. Kind of dark. Some pretty dark oil, really. Color obviously doesn't, it means it's just dark. oil analysis can tell us the real story. Okay, and under the hood, we're going to remove the oil cap, which I did to make it easier. And then you're going to remove that cover, which I already popped it off of its little fasteners. You just pull it up. And then right here's where your filter is. So put your wrench on there, take that off, pull the filter element out. Now there'll be a long kind of a stick thing in there. Sometimes you replace that, but you don't have to. Put a new filter element in there, make sure there's a new gasket on this guy, and then put your cap back on after you let your engine drain for a good while. This is what should be in the oil now at its 20,000 mile service, which was covered by Porsche. So they went ahead and did that for me. This is what they said they put in there. So the oil coming out of there now should be this stuff. I'm going to send it off to the lab. I'll get back to you on a video with those lab results. But this is what we're going to go ahead and put in now that we're at 25,000 miles on the clock. Look how dark this oil is. It's almost got a green color to it. Just kind of goes to show you that you can't always, the darkness of an oil doesn't always, mean a whole lot. Engines, but hope this video was helpful to you. If you got any questions, put it in the comments, and I'd be happy to try to help.